Desk Ladyada.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Desk with Ladyada. It's me, Ladyada, the word behind me. And I'm at my desk doing some electronics and stuff. Let's get right to it because I got a lot of stuff going on. A mishmash of things. Okay, so first up, the thing I was just working on, it's like I literally I was like, oh yeah, we have to video, but let me finish this last thing. Is Nine Pedro are doing a project where they're making a little 3D printed box that houses one of our bar displays to make a little Yule log video player. And I was playing around with people who remember a long time ago, I was playing with Arduino GFX library, and there's an example for MJPEG viewing. Oh, sorry. It actually isn't this demo, it's a similar one. To view MJPEGs, and MJPEGs are basically what you think. They're just JPEGs, like they put together one after the other, and they basically form an animation. And we actually got like fairly good results with it within the 480 by 480 display. The 720 by 720, we had to go to Cinepack. And, since Noah and Pedro were saying, hey, let's do this project with a display to do this animation, I was like, oh, let me go check out again. There's a new demo now that is called ESP32 JPEG SIMD, which means simultaneous decoding. And this uses, I guess, in the ESP32, there's actually like hardware support for JPEG decoding. And so this takes advantage of that. And the quality is actually much, much better and much, much faster. So if we go to the overhead, I can show off. So two things I did to make this, well, like 3 demos going on here. To make this faster is one, I'm using quad SPI wiring, so full SDIO, not quad SPI, SDIO 4-bit, which means I'm using 6 wires, to communicate between the SD card and the Qualia board. And that uses basically all the free GPIO, but like you really want to be able to read very quickly so that the time reading from the SD card isn't what is limiting your decoding. And then this is a quality 2 JPEG, and it looks like really nice. Like it actually looks nicer in person, of course. Let me see if I can zoom in. But it's a I just did the FF MPEG encoding for this, and quality 2 JPEG. It's not like perfectly smooth, and you see a little dithering. I think quality 3 or quality 4 could probably do better. And then what they wanted me to do, knowing Pedro, is when it plays the videos, when the user touches the screen, goes to the next video. So this video is 480 by 480, which is why, and I didn't rotate it because this is actually, even though we think of it as a long bar, it's actually a very long portrait. So you have to rotate the images, but it's the quality is much, much better using the SIMD code. So that's pretty exciting. So we'll have a guide out, and the code will be in here. And then folks who want to use this to, this is a 320 by 820 display. It's not a small number of pixels, and you're getting 15 plus frames per second. But I remember what this looked like with the previous code, and it was okay, but it was like 8 to 10 frames a second, and the quality of the JPEG decoding wasn't as nice. This is definitely, better than Cinepack, I think, encoding. One thing I did notice is that the example with the Stargate didn't decode properly. I'm not sure why. This is the washing machine, and then we have like a Die Hard video animation. So they're going to put this on like a continuous loop for Christmas theming. And then, of course, the fire log. So that's working really great. So, we're slowly getting more and more projects with the Qualia board out to get you more pixels. Okay, so that's one project. So I just finished that up. One fun fact, if you go to the computer, if you're like me and you're like, I can never remember FF JPEG commands, use ChatGPT, because it's like I'm not going to sit down and relearn how to use FF MPEG encoding for like MJPEG and transposing and quality. Like, how would I remember like -Q:\V2? Not gonna remember it. So using ChatGPT was great. Okay, so that's one demo done. So let's go next up. Oh, let's show off the new Momento pyCamera PCBs. So I'll give you the overhead. So for the camera board, you know, I think I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I think the hardware is completely done, the software is done. Started this project many years ago, but excited to make a little camera board. So I had Phil B design a really lovely silk screen here, and using a PCB here instead of a piece of plastic. I can see it's very dark, but it's actually is a camera. Hello, hi. With little cutouts, I made a cutout for the speaker, and then you bolt it on with these SMT hex nuts to keep this in place. And then on the other side is a ring light. Like this. So the ring light is using RGBW LEDs. I think I showed this off, but now it's just much nicer. Just depanelize this, and it's got this like cool quote on the back, and then this attaches here, and then plugs in, and then you can tuck the cable in, and we just stock these cables, and then in the interface you can set the light level, so take a photo of something, and then I think I showed the autofocus working to take photos of macro stuff. Snap, takes a photo, and then I think I unplugged the SD card, but Python powered camera. So the last piece is going to be getting the main board done, because this is a prototype, but those PCBs are on the way too. And then I made a little tester for this ring using a QT Py RP2040 with a BFF NeoPixel board. And then when this plugs in, it cycles. I mean, it's incredibly bright, but in person, I can make the brightness a little less. It does white. Hold on, reset this. Sorry. Restart. Okay, so it does a rainbow swirl and then it pulses white. So it's like a really quick way of checking that it does all the RGB, and then the pure white color is like a warm white. The only thing is, I think that this is so bright, it's actually, let's go to the computer real fast. I think it's actually browning out. So let's edit this real fast. Oh yeah, brightness. Way too bright. Let's save it. Okay. Oh yeah, so now I go to the overhead. The magic of interpreted language. You can see now it's much less bright. Doesn't blind you as much. Although I don't know why it's halting. Something weird with my math. Let me comment this out. Okay, rainbow swirl, and then yeah, I think there's something wrong with my math. Fade to white. Step. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's something wrong with my my division. It's like taking too long. Should be like 1 second. Step. Maybe I'll do faster step. Oh, you know what? I don't need that much brightness. Hold on. Yeah, there you go. So full color, and then white, and then rainbow. Okay, cool. Anyways, that's my little tester. So that'll get tested. And then let me see the last thing. Oh, I got some RGBW neon, which is kind of cool. So I do like the RGBW stuff. So this is, let me unplug this guy. Plug in this. So I like these like rounded neon strips. This diffuser is like a silicone. It looks really good. So let me test this out. Plug in white, black, And then I'll just touch this. You know, it's like a nice, oh, a nice rainbow look. So it's NeoPixel. This is a little metal clip, and then this is the white. So it has RGBW. So I think I'm going to stock this because it's a nice, very flexible, and like you can kind of twist it in different ways. Neon strip, and it's like good for outdoor stuff too. And then this is like a metal clip that you can screw into something and attach the neon. The only thing that's a little annoying about the neon is you can't cut and like you can cut it, but you can't like put it back together. Like once you cut it, it's kind of permanent. It does have a little cap you could like theoretically remove, I think, and then cut this shorter, but you can't. It's not like NeoPixel where you can join it together if you wanted to. This stuff you can't. So this is a sample that I got and I just checked out. And then let's see how we're doing on time. 11 minutes. Okay, cool. Oh, and then last thing. So, let's go to the computer. So, the last thing I've been working with Tim on a project, which is a replacement for the TFP401, which is hold on, let's do T place and then which is an HDMI to RGB decoder, because I wanted to make an RGB decoder for these cool, you know, bar displays and round displays, so like, you know, if you just had HDMI, you could plug it in. And the TFP401 works quite well, but there's a few trade-offs with it. One, it's expensive. It's actually been out of stock for a while. I just got a couple, so I'll be able to get the TFP breakouts back in stock. And it doesn't have I2S decoding, whereas the ADV 7611. So this chip has. So the only thing that's annoying about this is you have to configure it over I2C. You have to like send it the commands to configure. Whereas the TFP401, the nice thing about it is it just pops up directly. You know, like whatever HDMI it gets, it just like pushes it out to the display. The ADV7611, you do have to configure it over I2C, so you need a separate chip. But it has I2S decoding, and it's actually fairly inexpensive right now. Even though it's an old chip, you know, I'm seeing it on a bunch of distributors for like $3 or $4, which is a pretty good deal. I also found, I picked up one of these boards, if you go to the overhead. This is a Lantium. Hold on. This is a, hold on, Lantium LT6911. And this is HDMI to MIPI, and they also have one that's HDMI to RGB. And these are very inexpensive, but there's like NDAs all over the place. And they have a version with a scaler, but it's like you need to program this firmware. It's an 8051. And I basically have to make the decision, do I want something that's a scaler, which basically means you can send any resolution, it will remap it to wherever the display is. Or do I want something that doesn't require an NDA and I'm actually going to get running? And this is like a tough engineering challenge. But I decided, you know, let's go with the ADV7611. It has the I2S decoding, which I think is cool. So you can do HDMI video and it'll have audio output. But it doesn't do scaling. So whatever you send it's going to be 1-to-1 pixels. I think that's okay though, because as long as you know, almost every thing that has HDMI output these days, whatever resolution you give it, it will do the scaling for you, like pretty much almost always. And also I think, especially for the round displays, I don't think you want scaling. I think you want 1-to-1 pixels, so it'll look really good. Like I have those RTD 26, you know, whatever, or 2660 boards, or 2668. And they have a scaler, and honestly, they look really crummy if they're scaled. You're really best off just using the native resolution when possible. So this is a design that, so I don't have time to do like designs as complicated as much anymore. So I hired Tim on to do this design, but he did a really great job. So over here, we've got the DVI HDMI, you know, standard size port into the ADV 7611. And then we've got the 888 RGB output with like, you know, there's also like this reds. You see the reds here, and then blues, and then greens, and then these are the sync and clock and pixels. So this is 888, we'll do 666 afterwards. There's the EDID, I2C EEPROM. So that will have to be programmed depending on the what you want the ADV to present at. So it should match the resolution. And then the I2C, that's the interface for the ADV to program it. And then we've got a buck converter because this actually draws a lot of current. Anything with HDMI decoding is going to draw a lot of current. Sorry, this is the boost converter for the backlight. Sorry, I lied. This is the boost converter for the backlight. And then down here is the buck converter, 3.3 volt output from USB-C. And then there's also a 1.8 volt regulator. You need both. And then down here, this is the CS4334, which is kind of a generic I2S decoder. Doesn't need I2C configuration. It just like takes whatever it gets and gives you audio line level out. Then this is a line level out into the headphone jack. And then since you do have to program the ADV, and also, you want to maybe read the resistive touchscreen, and this is the analog digital converter for the touchscreen to give you I2C. So you do need a chip that kind of is going to do all the work of configuring the ADV and making it pop up in the right setup. And so we put an RP2040 down here with some flash memory. This is a secondary bus for the a power supply for the TSC, debug port, boot reset. But and it's not too bad. Let's see how big this is. This is 2 inches by 2 inches. It's actually fairly small. And should be able to drive various HDMI to RGB outputs fairly nicely. So we're gonna send out this prototype soon. Is it gonna work? I don't know. We're gonna find out. And then hopefully I'll use ChatGPT to write the driver because it's there's a bazillion libraries. Registers for the library. I'll have it work in CircuitPython and Arduino. There's a Linux kernel driver at least. So that's nice. We'll use that as well. This could be nice. And then I'm going to start with just replacing the RGB888 display driver that we've got. But I'll also make it work with these, cool bar and round displays. This is another bar display I've got. So yeah. So that's that. I think I got to everything on my desk. Let's go to the Great Search.
Where in the world is that part I need? The Great Search with DigiKey.
The Great Search brought to you by DigiKey and Native. Thanks to DigiKey every single week. Ladyada user power of engineering to help you. Yes, you find the things you need on digikey.com. Ladyada, what are you looking for on digikey.com this week?
Okay. So I use some of my notes behind the scenes. So I take notes before the videos. So this week, well, first off, I want to point out that the DigiWish 2023 is running right now. You can get free stuff. I can't get free stuff. I'm not eligible. The biggest tragedy of doing stuff with DigiKey, but that's okay. You can get stuff for free. All you have to do is post with the hashtag DigiWish on a variety of social networks. You can do 1 entry per day, and the thing you have to request is $100 or less. There's a lot of Adafruit stuff that's stocked that's $100 or less. I get a PPK. I saw some people looking for wire strippers. Pick something that's $80, $90 range, and post up, and they pick one person every day to give free stuff. And they've been doing this for a very long time. This is actually one of the oldest social media events that DigiKey has done. So I've never won again because I'm not eligible, but I know people who have, and it's a joy to get something for free. So check that out. So this week, I saw we got a request for somebody who was using a Raspberry Pi, and they were using the Raspberry Pi 5 to do continuous data logging in video. And they're like, well, what micro SD card should I use to make sure that I don't have failures in the field, especially if you're using it for industrial purposes. You're going to have this Raspberry Pi outdoors, or it's part of a mobile or seafaring data logging system. The most delicate part of the Raspberry Pi is definitely the micro SD card. You want to make sure that's well spec'd. And they said, can I just get micro SD card from, online, whatever e-tailer. And I said, well, if you do that, you're going to, they're inexpensive, but they're not designed for industrial use. They don't have guarantees for how often you can write to them. Can you write to them continuously for a very long time? And how many years, and temperature gradient. Also, I found a couple other kind of funky things that you can get with micro SD cards if you get them like industrial style. So let's go to memory cards. Just click on memory cards. So let's just only look at active because, just minimize the number of options to search for. So like I said, DigiKey stocks a whole bunch of SD cards. They're not going to be like the inexpensive, like $2 a piece. Hey, this is just something you pop in your GPS or your camera just to, or, your phone or whatever, just to get a little bit more storage. These are definitely going to be for industrial uses with single board computers. And so they're going to be more expensive, but they're going to have more guarantees and a wider temperature range. So the first thing to watch, to check for is what class you want. So the class is basically how fast you can write and read from the micro SD card. You can check Wikipedia for a full document of every class setting, but basically the higher the number, the better the class. And once you get to class 10, there's like subclasses. So class 3 is going to be the fastest. I think it's about 100 megabit per second read and write. And if you're doing, video or AI data reading, you want to like buffer to, you're not using RAM for your buffering, you're buffering stuff to disk somehow. You should definitely get class 3, which is also going to be called U3. Class 10, UHS3, U3. So it's going to be the fastest. And oh, wow, you can get like 1 terabyte for real? Geez, that's expensive. But you want a 1.5 terabyte guaranteed class 10 U3 SD card? That's cool. Anyways, you can order them. But we're not going to get a 1 terabyte. We're going to get, 8, 16, or 32. So let's look for that. Okay. So there's a couple options available, a couple of vendors. Each vendor is going to have their own thing. So first up, let's just do normally stocking. Okay. So all these are going to be micro SD because that's kind of what you're going to get. I did notice a couple cool features. So ATP, they had a guarantee of 5 years or 2 years with also a documented reliability for insertions and also mean time to failure. They also guarantee their sequential reads and writes, which is kind of nice. Of course, if it's not sequential, if you're like jumping around, it won't be the same. And there's also ones that are, so you can see all the different options, and there's a slightly lower warranty, 3 years, not 5 years. There's also, let's see, was it A-Pacer? I saw one that had, maybe Silicon Power. It had a guarantee for if you had power lossage, it would like actually be able to recover from it. But even like things like, the amount of current draw, like that's actually unusual, like for low cost micro SD cards, you're not going to have guarantees for that. Guaranteed humidity, guaranteed operating temperature. They have ones that go, negative 40 to 85. So these are good for outdoor use cases. And I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, some of these have like guaranteed for random reads and writes and bus mode. Oh yeah, power failure management, which I thought was kind of neat. So some of them have extra error correction, power failure management, guaranteed that not only will they do wear leveling, because all micro SDs do wear leveling, but they will do like even wear leveling, and they'll make sure that like you don't reuse the same area multiple times. So you have the longest lasting for, especially if you're using something like a single board computer and you're logging a lot of data and the logs get cycled, you're going to be writing to the micro SD card constantly. So a lot of options. I mean, you'll want to check, what is the size that you want, but even something like this one, UH3 class, UHS class 3. And if you need, actually, let's go look at a temperature range for select one. So let's maybe pick one that does, that full -40. And then, yeah, this one, for example, 500 in stock. And also some of them I noticed they will guarantee supply. So if you register with them, they will tell you if they discontinue the card and give you a last time buy. So if you have spec'd a card for your use case and you're like, okay, I don't want to go and respec other cards, they guarantee that you'll be able to supply you for at least like a year past the end of life date. So check out some microSD cards for industrial use. Again, you wouldn't get this for your Switch. You'd get this for a single board computer or something that's outside or doing data logging. You're sending it to space. These are some good options. It's my great search.
Where in the world is that part I need? The Great Search with DigiKey.
And thanks so much for joining us this Sunday evening. We'll see everybody throughout the week. We have a whole bunch of shows and more. As it hits December, don't forget you can get stuff on the Adafruit store. We also have gift certificates and more. Please support an open source hardware company trying to make and share as much as we can to do good and bring people together. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.